Well, welcome everyone to the Art and Discipline of Blogging. This is Joy Taylor, Director of the Women's Business Center at Jedi. And oh my goodness, I'm really looking forward to today's webinar because I'm a super big fan of our presenter, Tammy Strobel. So Tammy, we're so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Joy.
Okay, I'll give you a formal introduction in a moment, but I want to just be here for all of you who are joining the webinar today. This might be your first time on the webinar. I just encourage everyone to take notes. This is going to be content rich. If you are a blogger or you're thinking that it might be a way to build your business, you've come to the right place. We will have time for Q&A and questions at the end. And so what you'll want to do on your little control panel on the right, there's a question box. So feel free to type in questions whenever you have them. And then at the end of the content-rich webinar, we'll ask Tammy those questions. So I hope you enjoy this wonderful presentation. And the webinar is brought to you today by the Women's Business Center at Jedi. We do have a real popular series of webinars that are designed to help you grow your business. So we like to say we are the place where potential becomes prosperity. And we are a nonprofit up here in Northern California, and we're here to serve you in workshops and online training and private business and financial consultations. We are funded in part by the Small Business Administration, and we're so grateful with that funding, we're able to support people with things like what we're doing today, a free webinar. So let's move to the next slide, Tammy. Great. Oh, good. I get to introduce you. Well, I first met Tammy at a Women in Business network meeting in the small town of Wairika, California, near the border of Oregon. And I just instantly liked you, Tammy. I just really loved your spirit, your innocence, and your creativity. So I went home and I signed up for your blog and I bought your book, and little did I know what I was in for. You are so creative, and it's just been so fun to follow you, watch you flourish, and I'm grateful you're here today. But for those of you who are new to Tammy, I know some of you follow her already. But if you're new to Tammy, let me tell you a little bit about this mighty woman. She is a photographer, a writer, a teacher, and the creator of rowdykittens.com. She's been blogging since 2007, and she started to share her story and her creative projects. Her blog receives more than 100,000 unique visits every month, which is a big deal for those of you who are bloggers. You know, it takes a while to build that kind of an audience. And she is the author of You Can Buy Happiness, which has sold approximately 50,000 copies. It's been translated in 4 languages. She just came out with this amazing journal that's sitting here next to me called Everyday Adventures. And your story has been featured, Tammy, in the New York Times, Today Show, NPR, USA Today, Ladies Home Journal, locally in the Enjoy magazine. I know you're humble, but I just wanted people to know what an honor it is that we get to learn from you. And I want to just personally say thank you for saying yes to sharing how to blog with this incredible audience that's joined us today.
Oh my goodness, thank you for the amazing introduction. I'm a little blown away, but you're so sweet. Thank you so much. It's really just an honor to be here. And thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm really excited about this webinar. I've been blogging since December 2007, and I still love it. It's kind of crazy to think I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of blogging. But it's been a great, great journey. So today we're going to cover what a blog is, why blogging is awesome. I'm also going to talk about how you can leverage your blog and social media to promote your business. And we're also going to talk a little bit about technology and a whole lot more with the limited time that we have today. So if you're new to blogging, or if you've experimented with blogging in the past and want to get back to it, I hope you find some inspiration and walk away with some steps to take action after this webinar. So let's get started.
Yeah, Tammy, and we did a little prep before the webinar and kind of decided it'd be fun to be conversational today. So, and the good news is I have so many questions about blogging because I'm experimenting with it myself, but we also have a lot of beginners on the call, and so maybe you can start from the very beginning, what exactly is a blog?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And it's a pretty simple answer, really. A blog is just a web page or a website that's updated frequently. And your blog can really be anything that you decide to make it. So you could, let's say, post essays that are written on your blog, videos, photos, audio, anything you'd like. And I really think like blogging is great because it gives you the opportunity to really develop a conversational tone with your readers, no matter what you're sharing, whether that's like a video blog or a written essay. So in short, that's what a blog is. And the great thing I think about blogging nowadays, at least compared to 10 years ago, is there are so many choices, and the technology piece has gotten a lot easier to manage.
Yeah, I remember 10 years ago, someone coming into a class that I was teaching as a guest speaker and explaining this new thing called a web log.
And that's like actually the formal definition of a blog, which it seems super stiff, the weblog kind of thing. It's so funny. And so you guys looking at the slide right now will see my face, and this is just a screen cap of my website. So when people type in rowdykittens.com to their browser, this is what they see. And I've tried to keep my website slash blog super simple. So when folks visit, they get an introduction to who I am, and then they can either go directly to my blog in the navigation menu, which you'll see in the upper right-hand corner of my site, or they can do some shopping, or they can read my Start Here page. So I like really simple websites myself, and so I've tried to do that with my own site.
So, Tammy, you sell books, you have some online courses, so you're a writer. It makes sense that you blog, but why would other business owners want to blog?
I think blogging is an amazing way to share your story and your business offerings. And the nice thing about having a website and kind of like a storefront, particularly if you've got a business, is that your blog is working when you're not working, and or your storefront. So whatever you house on your website. So for me, I sell online courses and books through my blog, and it's really nice to be able to wake up on a Wednesday morning, and when I go look at my sales numbers, to see that I've sold like X number of books or X number of e-courses, and that can happen when I'm sleeping. So that's pretty cool. But my blog that I have is free, and it's been just a really fun medium to share my creative work with readers, whether they choose to buy from me or not. So I think it's just really fun and awesome. And then if you want to leverage your blog for your business, it's a really cool tool.
So, you said you wake up Wednesday morning. Is your blog every Tuesday?
I post it, well, I blog once a week, I should say. That's kind of my schedule that I've stuck to. And I'll usually blog like, or I should say post a blog like on a Tuesday or Wednesday. But the example I was using before is just, generally I check my sales stats every day for like e-courses and or books, just to, make sure things are rolling smoothly. So it's just kind of fun to see that people have decided to purchase something from me, even if I might be in bed. But yeah, I definitely have a blog schedule.
So, with social media being, something that so many people are focusing on, people are talking about these little micro blogs that are happening on Facebook, and is a blog still really relevant, and how does it kind of integrate with the whole social media marketing and outreach?
Sure. Blogging's, I think, definitely changed over the years, especially with the emergence of social media. But all that to say, I do think blogging is still relevant. I see blogging as kind of like my street address online. It's also something that Google is going to archive, and it's searchable, whereas social media, it's really fun and I use it all the time to connect with my readers. For example, I love Instagram, and I kind of use Instagram as almost like a diary to share like mini blog posts and things like that. However, not all of my followers on social media are necessarily going to see every photo I post on Instagram, because services like Facebook or Twitter and even Instagram have filter bubbles. So it doesn't mean that everyone's going to see your message. And hopefully with your blog, at least, if folks choose to subscribe, they're going to get your message more frequently and be able to see your creative projects or the progress you're making on a frequent basis.
Well, and maybe you're going to cover it later, Tammy, but what are the benefits of search engine optimization when you're constantly, updating your blog and being seen as an expert?
Sure. Well, so I'll give you an example. So I started blogging in 2007, and consistency with blogging is really, really important. Not only to connect with your readers, but also so that, you're searchable, like that people can actually find your work or your business or whatever you're offering. And so I had been blogging along and doing my day job, and I decided to leave my day job back in 2010. And I was continuing to blog, offer products, do freelancing stuff on the side, and I happened to be contacted by a New York Times journalist who was doing a story about minimalism and the latest happiness research. And so she found my blog and all my writing through Google, not social media, but the Google. So she read a bunch of my essays, checked out my work, and she ended up writing about me in the story that she worked on, and that story ended up going viral, which led to my book deal. So that's kind of a long story, but I think it shows that blogging is definitely still relevant, and I have a couple of colleagues who have been highlighted in major media outlets because of their blogs, not necessarily because of their social media presence, although it still does, I think, matter a bit that you're on social media to connect with your customers or readers and things like that.
I love that story, Tammy. I'm so
Oh.
glad you shared it. Yeah, so we have so many different businesses we work with at, the WBC at Jedi, and it's just like, wow, from storefronts to manufacturers to handymen to artists, who
Mhm.
should be thinking about blogging for their business?
Sure. And I think really blogging is suited for anyone who's committed to the practice. And like I was saying earlier, a blog can be anything you want it to be. So you might be a public speaker, for example, and you could share like audio clips of speeches you've given on your blog, or um, maybe you sell coffee and want to share like the latest bits of coffee research with your readers. There are all kinds of ways that you can share really useful information with the folks who come to your website. And so I want to offer a couple different examples of bloggers that I admire, as well as businesses. So this first screenshot is of a website called Be More with Less, and my friend Courtney Carver runs this site, and she has all kinds of really helpful information on her blog, which is free, that's all about simplifying and downsizing. And she also, similar to me, she sells books and courses, she does public speaking. She has a free minimalist fashion project that's super fun. It's called Project 333. And her website and blog is a continual source of inspiration for me personally and for her readers as well. And this screenshot is of Northbound Coffee Roasters, and they are a local business here in Mount Shasta. And I am obsessed with coffee. I love it. I buy most of my coffee from Northbound. They don't have a blog on their site. However, I wanted to share this with you because they do have a newsletter subscription option on their website, and that's how they stay in touch with their customers. And I subscribe. And I love getting updates from them. And they also have a digital storefront. And so when I order coffee, I can just pop on to their website and do that with ease. So that's been really, really fun. And it's a different example from just like writing or, you know, selling e-courses. Like you can actually sell physical goods on the internet too, leveraging a website and or a blog if that's what you choose. And then here's another fun example from another author that I really love, Susannah Conway. She has a blog as well as a newsletter that she offers her readers for free. And I love her newsletter in particular and her blog, but I feel like her newsletters are really, really personal and just her writing's beautiful. And then at the end of every letter, she shares with her readers what she's offering in terms of her next online course or book. And I think she does her letters in a really classy way and is able to market her products and do really well with her business. And then last but not least, I really love this website, Humboldt Made. It's a kind of a collaborative site, and I feel like these folks have done a really nice job of sharing artisan products and businesses in the Humboldt region. And they also have a blog, which is really fun. So that's something else to consider. Like you can always do a collaboration with your blog or website to get your message out there.
So Tammy, by the way, we have a group in Humboldt. I just got a little message from them. Hey everyone, we're in Eureka, and we have 5 people here for brown bag lunch and watch.
Oh yay! Hello.
Humboldt. Oh, okay. It's time for a poll. So I'll launch the poll, and those of you attending, you can take a moment here to answer these questions. What best describes you? Good questions, Tammy.
Thanks. I know when I started to blog, I was very, very scared, and I'll talk about that later in the webinar, but I'm just curious to see what people are thinking in their responses.
All right, the poll is in progress. We have 68% voted. Why are you here? I'm here because I'm curious. I'm thinking about blogging. All right, so pick the one that best describes you, and we'll give it another couple of minutes. We have more than, oh my goodness, we're like more than 83% voted, so.
Oh, fun.
I'm gonna close the poll. All right, here it goes. And I'm gonna share the results.
Oh, fun. Ooh, I'm thinking about blogging, but yikes, I'm scared. I feel you guys on that one. I have a blog, but don't post as much as I want to. I want to utilize my blog to better build my business. Okay, cool.
So only 7% are on it and blogging. So great.
Well, I hope this webinar inspires all of you who are listening in to start blogging regularly and to just have fun with the medium, because it is really fun and it's an amazing way to connect with your customers and readers.
So let's get into it. Like, exactly what are we going to blog about?
Sure. So, that's another good question, Joy. So what makes good blogging content? This is a hard question to answer, and in terms of like, oh my gosh, what to blog about, it kind of depends on like what your topic is, what your interests are, and all that stuff. But I'm going to go through some examples of how I utilize my blog and what I share online, and we can talk about other mediums that you guys might consider too. But I will say, when it comes to blogging content and what makes it quote unquote good, you know, it's really subjective. But I would also encourage you all to edit and curate your work. So one of the ways that I share with my readers is through essays. And usually my essays are between 500 to 1,500 words, and I've got a screen cap up about one of my recent posts about why we're trying to decrease our food and dining bill and how much we're spending. And so it was something my readers requested that I write about, and so I'm going to be documenting that over the next couple of months. But I think essays are really, I love as a reader just reading that stuff online. It's great fun. And I'm also a photographer, so I share a lot of photos on my blog as well. And it kind of goes with my theme and my brand in terms of trying to capture tiny, beautiful moments and everyday adventures that I experience in daily life. Because I don't think you need to spend a ton of money every day to have fun and to notice the beauty in the day-to-day. And finally, I also curate what I call happy links once a month. And I used to curate these weekly, but I've decreased my posting schedule to allow time to work on other side projects. But this is one of my favorite features that I do on the blog, because I love sharing what other authors and businesses are up to. So with my happy links, I usually share about 10 every month in a blog post, and what I share is usually varied, but it's mostly books, essays, some videos, and like good coffee finds that I might stumble across and things like that. So it's just really meant to be fun and a way to drive traffic to other people's work that I really admire.
So Tammy, your tagline, what's your tagline for your business again?
It's go small, think big, and be happy, which is a more apt description, I think, of my writing and my work instead of rowdy kittens. But uh, if you want, I can tell the story about how the name Rowdy Kittens came into being. But at least for my tagline in my search engine optimization form on the back end of my website, I have that tagline in the search fields it's more prominent than the actual name of my website. So that way, when people are searching in Google, they'll be better able to find my work. So I hope that makes sense.
It totally does, and we'll get to the story in a minute, but I think the point that, is so important is like everything you write in your blog is kind of oriented towards, yes, your brand and what you offer and what your classes are and what your books are about. And so when you share your links of your happy links, you're sharing books that are about creativity and finding happiness in the simple things of life. And so you're really reaching that kind of same energy or theme of what your audience is there for. So like someone who's selling homemade tomato sauce, by what would they want to blog about?
Oh my gosh. Well, like maybe recipes or gardening tips. There's all kinds of things that you might be obsessed with, like with your own business or your interests, that would be of interest to your readers too. And I also don't think you have to overthink what you're blogging about either, or be super focused on your brand per se. I've found that even for myself personally, like if I veer off into another topic that might not seem related to minimalism or happiness or living simply, I think that's totally fine. I'm not a robot, like I'm a human too. So all that to say is, I think just try and be authentic and share what really makes you smile, and that you think will be really helpful for your particular audience.
Okay, so we're going to get to how you named your site, but I did have someone ask a question. What do you mean by curate?
So curation can mean a lot of different things. So for example, There's actually on Instagram, I follow a woman, her handle I think is called the Jealous Curator, and she compiles all kinds of different art that she loves, and she shares screenshots of that art like on Instagram and on her blog itself. And her journey has been really interesting because she's done all this curation of art that she loves and that she's obsessed with, but sharing on her blog has resulted in book deals. So it's kind of interesting for someone who's been sharing other people's work that it's led her into this totally different path with creativity. So that's just one example of how you could curate content.
So we had someone else make a comment. I'm challenged with curating. Help.
um, well, so for me, when I pull together my monthly happy links, it's curated. So when I'm going through the month, I just keep track of what I'm really obsessed with, what I'm reading, what I think my readers might be interested in. And from there, I share that information. And again, I don't think this has to be super complex. Like when you're curating something, like let's say you want to do a link roundup on your own blog, think about what your interests are, what you're writing about, what might be helpful that your readers would be really into. So you could also just take out a piece of paper and write a list of interests and then go from there to help you kind of narrow down your curation if you're having a hard time. So I hope that answers the question, but just try not to overthink the curation bit. And I do want to say also for the writers out there that if you are sharing in-depth essays, that it's always nice to have someone review your work for content and copy edits. And that's something I've done for the past 4 to 5 years, specifically with working with a copy editor for all my content that goes up onto my blog. I have it edited before it goes live. It wasn't always that way though.
Well, and that's a really great tip. Yeah, so content curation is the collection and sorting of information according to the dictionary. So, and I think that it really also just helps people stand out as, you know, if you're saying that you're an expert in a particular field, whether it's a restaurant business or food business or you're an author, you've done your research. And what is it that made you who you are today is another way to think it.
Yeah, and that's great, Joy. Thanks for sharing that definition. Another blogger, her name's Heidi, and she has a website called Foodie Crush, and she's all about cooking, and she does a great job of curating links at the end of every week. So that might be another example that you could look at for like a nice job of curation that's aimed at cooking, but also just fun stuff mixed in with her weekly links.
I love it. So real quick, Tammy, Rowdy Kittens, where'd that name come
Uh,
from?
so I actually started blogging in 2005, and that was I was blogging not personally, but I was working at a nonprofit, and we served victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. And so part of my job was updating our blog with what was going on with policy, and all kinds of things, and posting resources for our clients and things like that. So that's how I got my start in the blogging world. And I got a taste for it and loved it. And so I started talking to my boss around that time about starting my own blog. And I didn't actually start it until December 2007, but when I was designing the blog, I couldn't decide what to name it. I knew that I wanted to write about my downsizing journey and happiness, but I just had no idea on the name. So I was sitting around the conference room table at my day job on my lunch break with probably 7 or 8 colleagues, and I was like, hey, what should I name my blog? And people just started like shouting out random names, and somebody said Rowdy, and someone else said Kittens, and that's how Rowdy Kittens was born. So there was not a lot of strategy behind the naming of my website, but I've stuck with it because it makes me laugh, and it's sticky. It's something that people remember.
Well, and like you explained with your tagline, you're really utilizing that for your search engine optimization. So,
Right.
um, okay, so one of your fans says she misses the weekly,
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
oh,
I know it was hard for me to decide to scale back, but the curation takes a lot of time, like a lot of time. And I needed more of my time to work on my own writing projects and e-course development and things like that. So that's one of the reasons I scaled back to the monthly link roundups.
one more question, then we'll move on with your content. But for someone who's looking for a copy editor or any editor, do you have any tips? That was another question that came in.
Oh, gosh, this is a hard one. I stumbled across my copy editor actually through my blog. He reached out to me to offer free editing help, and I've been working with him ever since. And that's been since I think 2011-ish. But there are so many amazing copy editors on the internet. So you could do a Google search, or you could also ask your friends, family, and work colleagues for recommendations. They might have a really good tip for someone that's local that could work with you.
That's great. I mean, there's Upwork and Elance and Ask Around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get on with you blog every week. Not everyone can do that. How often should we blog?
Mm. So I really think that the consistency piece is super important. I know it is for me, and I've set myself, like in the beginning, I was blogging probably 4 or 5 days a week, and that's gone down to once a week now. But things have changed. I've been blogging for almost 10 years, and if you're blogging 5 times a week, that's a lot. And I want what I put out there in the world to be good and thoughtful and all of these things. So all that being said, just pick a schedule and stick with it. And also remember you can modify that schedule. So maybe you only have time to blog twice a month. That's totally fine. Just stick with your schedule, keep writing, sharing, vlogging, posting audio or photos, whatever you want to do. And slowly but surely, people are going to find your work and I think subscribe. When I started blogging, I had 2 readers. I think it was my boss and my mom that read my stuff. So it's taken a lot of years to um, build my website, and I'm very, very grateful for the folks that stop by to read or check out my photos. So yeah.
So, Tammy, another question that came in. So, once you blog, does it live forever on your site?
It can for sure. I actually deleted a bunch of my blog posts from way back when, but I think you can still probably find all of the old posts I deleted in the internet time machine. At least that's what my husband's told me about. But you can always have like a private blog if you don't want to be super public, but yeah, I mean, once you put your stuff out there, it's out there, and I always encourage people to be really mindful of what they post, what they're sharing, and to really think about their own sharing boundaries. So, for example, what I put online is stuff that I'm totally comfortable sharing with anybody, from a random stranger on the street to my husband's 95-year-old grandmother. So just kind of thinking about those things too as you're blogging, and making sure what you share is, mindful and valuable and all that kind of stuff.
So let's get technical a little bit. So you publish your blogs, and then how do your followers, your peeps, get them?
So I have a couple different options for folks. They can either subscribe via RSS or email. And I know the term RSS might sound scary, especially if you're new to blogging, but it stands for Real Simple Syndication. So in short, what that means is someone can grab your blog URL. So mine's rowdykittens.com, and they can take that URL and pop it into a feed reader. And what you're looking at on the screen is a screen capture of my feed reader that I use to read all my blogs. that I subscribe to. It's called Feedly. And so it's really easy to open up Feedly, put in the URL, and then all the blogs that I love are basically consolidated into this one place online. It almost has like a magazine feel to it. And most blogs come equipped with the RSS feature. There are also plugins that you can use or specific code that you can add to your website to have that RSS feature. And if you're not sure how to do any of that, you can always reach out to like a web designer or something to help you with those details. I definitely did in the beginning because I was like, what am I doing? What is RSS? But it's kind of a neat feature for folks to organize their reading material. And then the second option that I have is email. So folks can subscribe to my blogs via email, and I use MailChimp. It's an email service provider to send out my blog content via email. And I try and be really clear with folks who subscribe about what I'm sending out, what they get if they subscribe. So they get a free copy of my photography book, for example, and yeah, just keeping it super simple and easy for people to sign up.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have another poll you want me to pull.
Yeah.
What is stopping you from blogging? Because only 7% of you said you're on it. So I'm not good with technology. I don't have the time. I'm not a good writer. Who's stopping? I'm on it. And I'm not sure if it's worthwhile marketing strategy for my business. So if you all want to take a moment and vote. All right, the numbers are coming in, Tammy.
Oh, cool.
I love that nothing stopped you. You were just having too much fun. I keep hearing you say, keep it simple and have fun. So if people are wondering what they want to walk away with today, I think those are two really good things that you're sharing with us, and I can feel it.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know about you, but oftentimes, like, what I've observed in myself and my friends is that as an adult, I take myself way too seriously. Like, I feel like let's just have some fun and share what we're doing, like our personal creative projects, our business projects. I think oftentimes folks are scared of marketing, and marketing doesn't have to be scary. It's just telling people what you're offering. That's it. Like, they can choose to ignore it or research it, you know? So yeah, just have fun with the process.
Well, it's worked for you. Okay, here's your results.
Mm, I don't have the time as the top one. That's interesting. Time is definitely an issue, I think, for a lot of people, but something that, at least for me, when I started blogging, I was working a full-time job, often more than 40 hours a week, and I still made the time to blog. I don't have children, so you know that opens up more time for me in the evening. But I do have you know, friends who work full-time jobs and they still blog on the side, and they might have kids and things like that. So I feel like if folks are struggling with the time issue, something that might be helpful is doing like a time audit. I've done this in the past myself because I've told myself these stories of I don't have time to write a book, and usually I have plenty of time. It's just me procrastinating. So really, like, examine how you're spending your time. You might have to make a choice that you don't like maybe not watching as much TV or spending less time on social media, but I think like there's always time if you really want to do something.
Hey, Tammy, did you blog about that?
I wrote about that, I think, in my first book. When I was writing You Can Buy Happiness and It's Cheap, I actually had to take a month off of blogging and social media, everything, technology, and just write, because I was procrastinating and I had a deadline to meet. So I talk about that a little in my book, and I may have blogged about it. So I'll have to look in my archives, and we could always send that out to folks after the webinar.
So what do you say to someone who says, I'm not a good writer?
Mm, this is hard because it's something I struggle with, and I'm a writer. It's a huge part of my job, and I still don't. I'm very hard on myself, and I feel like I'm not a good writer, but I do this for a living. And so my answer to myself and to anyone that kind of has this similar feeling is to just keep practicing and to put yourself out there, because I really think the only way that you're going to get better is to keep writing. And I know for me, even though I still feel like I'm not that great of a writer, I know the practice of blogging every week and working on my books and my e-courses has enabled me to improve over time. So yeah, practice, practice, practice. It's not a sexy answer, but it works.
All right. So I know, so the second biggest challenge was technology. And
Mhm.
so let's discuss. You've got some good tips for us to help us overcome that hurdle.
Sure. So technology is really scary, and I'm still scared of technology too. So you're definitely not alone. And I feel like the best thing I've done for myself is to experiment and play with technology, and also to ask for help. So when I started blogging, I mentioned earlier that I had been working for the nonprofit, and my boss was super supportive with me starting my own blog because he was like, well, you can practice with this technology stuff on your own website, and if you blow it up, it's okay. But, he was like joking with me and stuff. But I think there was something to that in the sense that I was able to practice and play around with different blogging platforms like WordPress. It's what I use, but now there are all kinds of options from Squarespace to TypePad and Tumblr. And the same goes for email as well. And just really asking for help is so important, and that can be hard. But in the beginning, and even now, I have help with technology. Like, for example, I didn't know how to put up my new logo on my website, so my brother-in-law helped me. But if you don't have a super smart techie brother-in-law, you can always hire someone to help with the tech side. And also, there are so many amazing online courses that you can take for free or pay minimal amounts of money for. One service that comes to mind is Skillshare, and I believe they have some great like tech classes that are geared specifically to blogging and understanding how to use blogging software.
So yeah, so we're talking about blogging. You just showed a slide with some other like different channels we can, not channels, but software people can use. From WordPress is one of the most popular. But let's circle around to this conversation about social media, which we sort of
Sure.
started at the beginning. And how do you integrate your blogging with your social media? You've got your morning views that you put up. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, tell us
So
about what works.
Sure. So what's worked for me is kind of a similar strategy that I use with blogging. At a minimum, share a daily update on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And usually that's a photo of my morning view. And that was a photography project that I started about 5 years ago. Um, I also share blog posts and course updates on social media. My favorite social media site is Instagram. So on this slide is a screen cap of my Instagram profile, as well as what Instagram looks like right before you decide to publish a photo. So something really fun with a lot of social media platforms is you're able to push your content out to multiple services. So when I share a photo on Instagram, I can also share it at the same time on um, Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr if I decide to do so. So it makes it really easy. I don't have to post in multiple places. It just goes all out at one time. And then I've got an example here of the Minimalists website, which I really like. It's clean, easy to navigate, and they do a really nice job of having social share buttons at the bottom of their posts. So you can hopefully see those on the screen cap, but they have the option to share a post like on Facebook, on Pinterest, Twitter, and all that good stuff. So it makes it really easy for readers to share what they're up to. And I have the same feature on my website too.
Well, and isn't that great? So the people who like what you're writing about share it with others. You get more exposure, more people come to your site, maybe subscribe, maybe buy a product over time. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, best practices for those of us who've talked about consistency. What else?
So some best practices, keep your design really simple. Um, I think simple is lovely. It makes it really easy for readers to navigate what you're offering online. And we talked a lot about content creation and thinking about like what type of content you want to share with other folks on the internet, from blogs to essays or photos. And also something that's really important is to be sure to incite your sources. So whether you're referencing a book, or let's say you're sharing a photo, if the photo's not yours, be sure to cite or give credit to the artist that made the photo or piece of art, etc., that you're sharing on your site. And like I said, be consistent and be sure to ask for help as you're going through your own blogging journey, particularly with the technology piece and even like with editing and curation.
Okay, we're all ears. What do we do now?
So I know this probably seems like super simple, but it is, but just start your blog and use your blog as a tool to share and to listen to your readers and or customers. And like I said, when you start your blog, pick a time frame that you want to post, whether it's monthly, weekly, every 2 weeks, whatever works for you, and just be consistent with your sharing. And when you're thinking about starting your blog, or maybe you're wanting to revisit a blog that you already have, kind of brainstorm what's really relevant to your customers and or readers. What's the theme, for example, like if you're a writer, what are you really interested in? And I think if you've got kind of a general theme in place with your blog, it's going to be easier for you to edit, curate, and share your work.
Hey, Tammy, I noticed that you don't have a bullet point that says ask for a sale. So you're
That's
very
good, Joy.
well. I think that what I'm getting from you, and you have done so well converting followers into customers, but you don't ever lead with that. I mean, I've been following you years now, and you've recommended some books that I've loved. You've given me topics to talk about at dinner, but you've never said, hey, buy my journal.
Mhm.
But you've always invited me. So anything about how to convert your readers into customers?
So with me, I tend to do a lot of stuff at the bottom of my blog posts. So I'll offer my readers like an article or a photo essay that they can peruse. And I usually have some PS bullet points at the end of my posts. And so that might have to do with, hey, buy my book, or hey, could you leave a review of my book on Amazon, or I'm teaching my next online course with this date. And that strategy has worked pretty well for me in terms of converting readers to become, like buying a book or joining my e-course and things like that. And I just try and be really clear. Also, I have done just posts with, hey, this is what I'm doing, like this is when my next class starts. But I, like with everything, I just try and keep things really simple, because like I said earlier, I don't think marketing has to be scary or spammy or ugly in any way. It's just telling people what you're doing and what you have to offer, because money has to come from somewhere. We all have bills to pay and we need to eat and do these things, right? So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Oh, it does. And I mean, it's something we talk a lot about at the WBC at Jedi, and I know over in Humboldt at the SBDC. I mean, we just, when we believe that we're offering a solution to our customers and clients, it's like we just want them to find us and give them more. And, that eventually can convert to a sale, and it often does. So
Hmm.
I love your sincerity. Thank you.
Thanks, Joy.
Do you have more? No, it's
That's
good.
it, I think. Yeah.
It's Q&A time because I'm going to go ahead and ask you these questions. They've been coming in, Tammy.
Awesome.
Okay, so if you have a question, go ahead. We'll try to get to it. First question that came in was, what format web host site do you use to create your online courses?
Oh, okay. So all my, well, so for my courses, like my journaling class or my photography class, they're all email based. And I do use some outside sources, like I'll upload my videos or audio clips to SoundCloud or Vimeo, and I'll make sure those are private and membership only kind of access. But I also have a course, it's called A Simple Year, and I shouldn't say mine, it's actually a collaborative course. And we have a private website we use for that class for our members, and I believe it's a WordPress theme. And my friend and business partner, Courtney Carver, she's handling all the technology stuff for that particular course. So there's lots of
Well,
different ways to go about that.
well, and I love that you're just introducing the simplicity of an autoresponder and email subscription. It's a great way to start. And I'll just also just chime in if anyone wants more help with online classes and choosing technology and plugins, we can help you here at WBC at Jedi.
Nice.
Yeah, just one of my passions. Okay, any other RSS feeds you would recommend? Besides you mentioned one.
Oh, like Feedly?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so blanking right now. There used to be Google Reader, but I think that's done. Like I believe Google shut that down. So I would just recommend Googling feed reader options. I personally love Feedly. It's free. They do have a subscription where you can pay and get bonus features, but I haven't started using that yet.
Well, and isn't it great? Any question you have, you can Google the answer.
Pretty amazing, right? And there's oftentimes really great blog posts that come up in Google that have already like answered a question like that. So there's lots of info out there.
Feedly, Panda, Feedbin, Newsblur. There's a few of them.
Yeah.
Okay, part of my answer is finding the time. So this was your poll. But
Hmm.
I also feel that what I'm writing about may not have value to others, or I don't have anything interesting to say.
Mm,
Great
I,
question.
it's such a good question, and I do think everyone has something interesting to say. We all have our unique perspective and our own personal stories to share with others. I know for me personally, I love reading blog posts that have more like personal essays or even vlogs that are shared. I just really resonate with personal stories, and usually with personal stories, there are takeaways from that kind of narrative. So I would just really maybe encourage you to do some journaling on why you feel like you don't have anything to say, or that always has helped me in the past, because I think we all have a unique perspective to offer uh, future readers and current readers. So just keep at it, keep writing.
Well, and you're starting a journaling online class August, so that's
Yep.
another option. Okay, I have time to just feel that my writing skills are not the best. Okay, I have time, I just feel my writing skills aren't the best. I need to get rid of that negative mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of answered that.
Yeah, and again, it's really practice. And I've been blogging for almost 10 years, and I still get nervous when I press the publish button and send something out into the world. So I don't know that sharing my creative work gets easier per se, but I know I always feel happy when I do. And the process of making something is always really fun, whether it's an essay or a photo, and sharing that with readers.
So just take the Tammy pill. Um, okay, someone said maybe someone who's not a good writer could start by talking into a recording. That's a great suggestion. Thank
That
you.
is a great suggestion. The dictation feature on the iPhone is amazing, and I use that a lot when I'm out and about on hikes.
Someone else said, people tell me how do I do everything. I don't spend much time on social media. So thank you. That's a great, another reminder.
Mhm.
I'm interested in using a blog to increase Google searches for my Etsy page with SEO. How would that work?
So using the blog to increase search for the store, is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Well, I think if you just keep blogging consistently, Google's going to index whatever you're doing. And this is where, too, that I don't feel like I'm an expert when it comes to SEO. I have a WordPress theme and I use Thesis. And supposedly, Thesis is optimized for search, the SEO, search engine optimization. So I think blogging consistently and then having a theme on your website that's optimized for the SEO is super helpful. And then finally, if you're still confused about that, ask for help. That's what I did because I was like, what do I do? And my tech person is like, just keep blogging, use your theme, use the keywords on the back end, and you'll be good to go. So that's what
Well,
I've been
and
doing.
that's key. Use the keywords on the back end. So we're hoping to have a webinar on SEO soon.
Oh, cool. That'll be helpful.
Yeah, I think it's really important. So what are you using to post on multiple platforms?
I just use Instagram. So in the screen cap from earlier in the webinar, on the back end of Instagram, when I go to post my photo and write my caption, just with the flick of a button, I can share that photo on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and anywhere else that I want to share that information. So it's not a fancy solution. I just kind of push everything out from Instagram to other social media sites.
Okay, gosh, we're getting a lot of questions, so I'm going to just rapid fire. What
Okay.
are the most important blog and user metrics? What do you pay closest attention to?
Oh, that's a good question. And I pay attention to my email subscriptions mostly. I feel like I get a ton of engagement from my email subscribers, and by that, just people responding via email to posts that I share. Um, but I also try not to get too wrapped up in the number game because uh, I feel like it can be detrimental to getting my creative work out there and actually doing the work that I need to do for my business. And I've just had this faith over the years that if I keep putting stuff out there and engage with my people, that it'll all fall into place. And so far, that's been, it's worked out. So that, simple answer, but yeah.
Well, simple, that's your theme. We want simple answers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hey, Tammy, this is just a question came in, but I think you answered it. Your book deal came from someone Googling information on living simple and they found your blog. Is that correct?
Right. So a New York Times reporter was Googling information on happiness and living simply, and she found my blog, read a ton of my entries, and then she reached out to me and interviewed me for her story. And from there, that New York Times piece was very, very popular online. It went viral. And after that, I was pitched by probably a dozen literary agents to sign with them for a book deal. And I obviously chose an agent. And from there, we wrote the proposal, got the book deal, and that's where You Can Buy Happiness came from.
It's a charmed life. Um, but you were consistently blogging. You were consistently
Yeah,
blogging.
but at that time I'd already been blogging for over 3 years, so it's not like that happened overnight. Like again, it's that consistency piece, right? Like if I hadn't have been blogging, she would not have found my work. So
Right. Well, and this ties into this question. Does a blog have to be for a business? Can you just blog and maybe that becomes a business itself?
yeah, I mean, I had no idea when I started Rowdy Kittens that I would turn part of this into a business. And even if I decided to shut down my business, I would keep blogging because I really enjoy it. So it doesn't have to be a business, it can be a creative pursuit for sure. Um, and again, like just that consistency piece, I think it's so amazing that we have the internet to share our creative work with other people and to also make new friends and meet new people. It's pretty incredible.
I'm starting out on the free version of WordPress. Any features, widgets that are necessary for my beginning blog?
Oh gosh. I would just say stick with a simple design. Make it really easy for people to subscribe to your site, like with what I talked about earlier, like having an RSS option, an email subscription. But other than that, and maybe some social follow buttons. So if you're on social media, making it easier for readers to follow you there as well. But I don't personally have a ton of like plugins or widgets on the back end of my website. Like everything, I try and keep things super simple. And I want my website to be fast. So if you do end up having additional plugins, just be careful and do your research because sometimes those plugins have extra code that can bog your website down and slow it down.
Great, good answers. Tammy, we're running out of time, so we got to most of the questions. I did want to let people know that there is the handout. If you look at your control panel, go to webinar, you can click on the handout, and this is a PDF of all the slides of Tammy's presentation. And then encourage you to reach out to the WBC at Jedi if you do have more questions. We have, gosh, we have an amazing group of consultants and trainers. We can work one-on-one with you. You can join a group coaching or a training program, and we can support you in growing your business. And I'm just so proud to be a part of this organization. We're getting so much talent so that we can really help individuals grow their businesses. And if you enjoyed this webinar and you want to contribute to more services like this in our community, please become a member of Jedi. We are a nonprofit, which allows us to do things like we did today, offer these incredible webinars to a larger audience. And then specifically, I thought I'd just do a little shout out for some of these upcoming events. We did have some people say, bring Tammy back for a webinar, and we had some other people say, yes, we want SEO. So I'm working on our webinar series. We've got some wonderful webinars coming up. Invite you to join us for any of our training. If you're in Northern California, come live. If you're not, come online. We're an amazing virtual community of people who are helping each other grow businesses. So we have an Interbusiness Graduate Lab happening. It's starting tonight. We monthly meet in Reading and get together for women entrepreneurs. It's a professional development and connection time with fabulous topics on mentorship, being a part of your community, time management, etc., marketing. Our next webinar is how to borrow money for your business, and that is next week at noon. This is great. We're partnering with the Opportunity Fund. I've reviewed the webinar. I was blown away at the abusive lending that's available online, and I want to stop. It's a mission, you know, to support everyone who's looking for extra capital to expand their business to do it responsibly, and we're going to talk about how you might do that. And we do have a weekly bookkeeping open lab starting with Padge Kane. And that's every Wednesday from 10 to 11:30. That also starts next week. And then a great webinar with Rachel Hatch. It's called Foresight for Business Strategy. She is a visionary, and she's worked for the Institute of the future. And boy, man, just interviewing her, you can see it on Facebook. She knows a lot about how to imagine before your customers do where you're going in your business. So learn more at our Facebook page or contact Jedi directly. We'd love to have you be a part of our community. And at the end of the webinar, there's going to be time for a survey. Let us know topics you want for the future, how you enjoyed this webinar. I really enjoyed it. I just always I don't know, I just get happy when I'm around you, Tammy. You're just very inspiring, down to earth. I mean, you really are your brand. I must say, you really are simple and clear and full of inspiration for, you know, so many people around the country and the world. Is there anything you wanted to add before we close out, Tammy?
No, just thank you for the kind words, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm really grateful. So yeah, make it a great week.
Make it a great week for sure. And yeah, once again, thanks, Tammy. It's so great to have a gem like you in Siskiyou County.
Thank you, Joy.
All right. Thanks, everyone.